with the lights out. There's a lot of stuff we want to cover, so we'll start with the introductions. I'm Dean Hall, project leader of Z, and this is Matt Lightfoot, who's the production assistant. So we've got a lot we want to cover because we want to sort of pack as much in. The Q&A, which is going to be the bulk of this, is sort of really important to us. We're going to be showing a lot of new stuff here, so we're quite keen to see what questions people have and get some feedback and things like that. So again, I guess without further ado, I'll rock into the demo and I'll kind of talk you through it. So this is the standalone at the moment. It's the current development build, so there's plenty that's sort of broken with it. One thing that we've been doing, those who are familiar with Armour 3 will know that the team on Armour 3 did a lot of work with the controls, and what we did is we borrowed a couple of the developers from Armour 3 and assigned them to our project and asked them, what would you do if you could do anything with the game? So we've been looking at things like the tactical pace and things like that, so that you can actually go around. You'll notice that the weapon is currently pointed not at someone. So one idea we're playing with, and we're not set on it yet, is that you actually have to hold down a key to aim. So we're currently developing two systems. One of the systems is exactly how Armour 3 operates, with some different tweaks and improvements. And the other is this system, which forces you to hold down the key. The reason this is our currently favoured system is because we believe it will help prevent the sort of kill-on-sight mentality and things like that. So that's why this is kind of our favourite at the moment. And we've removed things like mouse acceleration and all that kind of stuff. So we're really committed to improving the controls, and there's been a lot of work done with that now. The next thing I wanted to show was a lot of the work we've done with the inventory system. This is one of the areas that we spend most time on. I have to add a strong caveat now, which is we haven't had an art pass done on this yet. So are there any programmers out there in the audience? Yeah. Okay, so this is what art would look like in a game if you let programmers do all the art. So it's going to be a little bit hard to see. I'll try and talk you through this at the moment. So what you're seeing on the left side, the beautiful aqua blue box, that is what's on the ground. So actually it's probably more relevant if I come over to the back of the car here. So you can see maybe we don't need artists. Save a few dollars. So Jurka is one of our programmers in the Czech Republic. Now Jurka is a huge fan of online RPGs and stuff like that. He plays a lot of Lord of the Rings online. So he's been doing a massive amount of work on this. So you won't be able to see it because of the contrast, but when that little box turns green, it actually expands below it, and you can see little items. So I'm going to put some items in the shirt that's on the ground there so that you can see me fill it up. So you can see I can like open and close it there. Now this little green panel, these little green panels here, these are only temporary, they'll disappear. We actually want to have it so that you actually drag and drop off your character's avatar. But that's, we haven't currently got that working, so at the moment we've got those little boxes. So I can drag that off, and I can actually drag the shirt on, and then all my items are in here. And then I'm going to have a drink. The artwork doesn't need this. And I'll just, and so I can see what was on my hoodie here before. Same deal, so I can put my motorbike helmet on. I am ready. Unfortunately, this red check shirt, because the spawns are random, so unfortunately this is one model that doesn't have on-ground model, so we're just going to walk away from that. So. You guys are like, and I actually goes, okay. Oh, I didn't pick up the hoodie. Oh man, like demonstration fail. Where are we? Hoodie. Okay, so You'll see when I had a drink, I left behind a trash item. You can see it on the ground there beside the shirt that I don't want to show you. What happens after? So we want to have you know, some little connections to the world so that can actually go around and check on items and that. So if we look inside the hoodie here, I've found a defibrillator, but I'm a bit worried that it might be infected. So this is a very basic demonstration of what we're looking at doing with the crafting system. So the idea is, actually I forgot, I can't do it on that. So I will find a can of beans. I've only configured one thing here. A can of beans. Let's see if I can find it. One time, we had one job in. Okay, so I've got some beans here and some more disinfectant. I might be able to disinfect. So let's say I want to disinfect that. I can actually drag over. You can see things I can't interact with. If I can interact, it goes orange. We're actually going to make the 3D model color change, so this is all quite just, you know, work in progress. It brings up a context menu, and I can you know, I can craft it. So the idea, for anyone who's played Space Station 13, we're going for that kind of level of crafting. So if I have a look around some of these buildings, hopefully I might find some more stuff. Let's go inside this building and see what we can. Wow, I didn't die. That's like a miracle. Progress right here. So I'm looking around here. I'm just going to go in first person. Oh, look at that. There's a can or something. So we're avoiding CanGate, for all those familiar with CanGate. And so we're choosing like tuna Russian brands for this stuff. So I guess another thing I'll quickly cover off on is the quick action bar here. So I can put my weapon away if I just push the one key, and I can bring it back. So we wanted to get a lot more customization. So if I remove that, how do I do that? Yeah, like that. And then put it on this key. I can then push 5, puts the weapon away, I can run around, do my thing, and then push it out. So it's adding, yeah, you know, a lot more customization. We want people to be able to do, you know, change things and do the things like this. Open this door. And oh, floating can. That's where we do this before. Yeah. So a lot of it is going to be exploring the environments, looking around, and trying to see if you can find stuff. And that's really a significant part of what we want to do. You know, have people actually scavenging for stuff. So the inventory system's been quite heavily inspired by XCOM. You can see this black hoodie at the moment has six slots for stuff. So I'm just going to put my defibrillator on the ground here. So, you know, so that's the idea. If you have the weapon, it takes up a certain amount of slots, and you're not going to be able to put it in the hoodie because it doesn't have enough space. So, yeah, that's an area that we've been quite keen on. Yeah, so that's the loop. And how are we looking for time? Got a lot to cover off on. That's good. So a lot of the interior work that we've done, there's a whole bunch of different areas. That's right, I should try and walk through there. So yeah, we've been putting in a lot of work trying to just make the controls feel a lot better. Yeah, and the idea of going through the buildings and scavenging is exactly what we want to do. We've got a lot of new areas in the map that we want people to be able to go through and explore and have a look around. I don't think this one's actually configured for that. Yeah. Oh, no, here it is. We've got some cans here. And definitely having all the vehicle wrecks and that, having loot items, has been quite a compelling thing. Okay, so I kind of want to move on now and talk across a couple of what our sort of key points are. Yeah, maybe we can put the lights back on so you can kind of see this sort of always showing in. With the client server. So this is the delay. This is why we haven't had a chance for you to be able to play the game yet. And that is because for those who play the mod, they'll know that the hacking and the exploiting is a real significant problem for us. So we, in order to release the alpha, we want to finish this architecture that means that everything that's done on your client is just keystrokes, and then it's sent to the server, and then the server is the arbitrator of what you can do. And that work's being done by Andres Spandel, our lead programmer. He's kind of, I guess, the father of the whole engine. And so he has been focusing on that. And what we're going to do is we're going to lock down for the next 2 months while I'm at Everest, and they're just going to focus on that stuff. And then in June, we're going to do a review of where we're at with the game, and then we're going to see if we can actually release the alpha thing. That's the only thing we're waiting for. The crafting system, all that, it's more or less working, so it's really just a content push out from there. So that's the delay, but we kind of feel that there's no point in releasing DayZ until we do that, and that's why we missed the December deadline. Was because we realized that we couldn't just take Armour 2 or Armour 3 and make it work with DayZ. We actually needed to go right back and completely remove components of the game and redo it from scratch. So that I guess brings us to crafting and the
radios.
Oh, radios, yeah. So radios is something that we've been working on kind of in secret. I think I might have accidentally mentioned it at
Slightly.
a couple of times and at the Twitch party. So with radios, it's something we've had one of our programmers working on. Is there anyone who's familiar with the Acre mod? ACRE from Armour? So a few Armour hipsters out there. Yeah. So that's a very awesome mod for Armour that really realistically simulates radios. So what we've done is we've implemented a simplified version of that in DayZ. And are there Space Station 13 players? Yeah, there's quite a few in the back there. So they're probably causing trouble, like planting some bombs or ripping up the floor. So we took every inspiration from that, because we played that a lot. So in Space Station 13, you can actually turn off or on the speaker and microphone. So what we've done in DayZ is we've made these radios so that you can turn off the speaker, place the radio on the ground, and then it will record any direct chat that someone does nearby, whether it be text or voice, and then play it through the radio. So if you turn off the speaker, they can't hear anyone talking on that radio frequency, but you can have another radio on that frequency and listen to the area. So we think it's going to allow a lot of shenanigans. It's a technical term. We also thought as well, like bugging the areas where you might be storing all your loot with your group in that, so you can monitor. As well, if you've got a headset, you can actually craft the headset onto the radio, and that way the speaker won't broadcast noise, because at the moment if you have a radio without a headset, it will actually make the noise so that everyone can hear it around you. So this is kind of the stuff that we're working on now while we're waiting for the client server architecture to be done. Medical is something I really wanted to talk about. Hopefully we're going all right for time. So I talked about, we went out for dinner with a few of the streamers last night, and I run through the system. It's a little bit complicated to explain without whiteboards and all that kind of stuff, so just bear with me. In DayZ, the mod, the health system is pretty basic. You have blood, and if you run out of blood, you die. And we really wanted to go a little bit more in depth. And I know what people are concerned about accessibility, which is a bit of a rude word, but accessibility. Well, we feel that adding complexity to the game doesn't necessarily mean the game becomes more difficult to play, so long as that complexity is intuitive. So we've tried to base a lot of the stuff on common sense. So we have health, which is your overall level of like your life and how you're doing. And we have blood, which is more a short-term indicator. So if you get shot, you'll take brute force damage to your health, you'll lose quite a lot of blood, and you might be bleeding, so your blood will continuously drop. So those are your two prime indicators of health. You also have shock. Are there original XCOM players out there? And not anywhere near enough original XCOM players. You can still buy it on Steam, there's like no excuse. I made him play it. We nearly fired him. I found out he didn't play XCOM. It should be a requirement for new designers. So in that you had your unconscious meter, and if your unconscious meter got over your health, your guy went unconscious. And we have a similar thing with shock. So if an example being, if you get hit in the head with a baseball bat, you don't have, say, something like a motorbike helmet on, you'll take quite a high shock value. So if the shock value exceeds your current blood, then you'll go unconscious. Now, the real experiment we're doing, and to be honest, there's a lot of stuff we're not sure whether it's going to work or not, but we want to try it. We're trying to not have any of this on the UI. So we want to provide feedback as to how all this is working through post-process effects and post-process sound effects as well. And I have to be honest, I don't know how it's going to go. It could be a disaster, but we really want to try it because we think that not having the UI will really add to the immersion. Yeah. And so that's the health, blood, and the shock. I guess a lot of people, we had questions last night about how does it regenerate. So the idea is with blood that if your hunger and your thirst is met, if you guys can understand my accent, then your blood will regenerate. And if your hunger, thirst, and blood are okay, then your health will very slowly regenerate. And your blood will only regenerate up until your maximum health. Okay, hands up who's confused. Yeah. It is kind of confusing, and that's kind of why we don't want to put it in the UI. We're hoping that it'll actually be intuitive enough, and that's why we're really determined to get the alpha out, because we want to get people involved, early adopters, and get some feedback going on Reddit and the forums and stuff like that. So what's the next one? Food. Yes, so again, we're looking at, we don't like it how, in DayZ you can eat like 1 million energy bars or energy drinks and you're totally fine, because that's certainly not the case. We tried it and we've confirmed that just eating energy drinks doesn't work. And I think Matt stayed up for about 4 days at some point, probably playing Kerbal Space Program and not doing the work. I've forgotten what I was talking about. Food. Yes. So the idea is that your diet will have an effect on your character. Again, all this kind of stuff, we want to keep it quite subtle. Because, that's kind of the whole idea here of DayZ. We want it to be that you can apply kind of your common sense rationale to things. I really want to rush through this so we can get the Q&A. The other point was melee. Or melee. Which is it? Can I say both at the same time? Yeah, maybe that would work. So we're putting quite a bit of work in that. It's still we've only really got a prototype at the moment. The idea is that you're going to be able to punch and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot less weapons in the initial release. We're really going back to basics with the initial alpha. And so your reliance on melee is going to be quite high. That's pretty much what I'll say.
But we're going back to the weapons so that we can remake them, give them new sounds, and make them as fantastic as we want them to be, rather than having volume over quality.
Yeah, and we're also the attachment system is quite a good thing. Unfortunately, our internet buggered, so I couldn't download the latest update to show that. We'll show that in the dev blog coming up soon. I guess the last kind of semi-important point that's really relevant right now that I wanted to touch on was the new skeleton. So are there animators out there? So this is 2 new animators, so you guys will know we've been using the same skeleton for like 8 years. So think of video games 8 years ago, well, we're using the same skeletons as them. So the skeleton is like your rig that you bind to the skin. It defines how the character moves. And we actually took a risk and we devoted some resource to making a new skeleton. And that risk has paid off. And the skeleton that's been made is really very pleasing for us. So it's going to allow us to do a lot of things. A lot of games out there, they have a separate like skeletal position for your first person view. And that sounds a bit bad, but it's actually really good because it means you can make the first person view look relevant and nice, and have the third person view still look relevant and nice as well. Because you can't see your shoulders and stuff in the first person view. Armour only has one position, so you can only have it look good in first person or third person. With the new skeleton, we're going to be able to make it look good and relevant in both. So you can, because you want, particularly with melee, for all those who play chivalry and that, you really need to see where your hands are. And particularly because we're ditching across here, so you know, it's kind of relevant to see where you're going to be punching. And so that new skeleton's opening up a lot of doors for us. We've got to implement it for the zombies. I turned the zombies off today because the sounds go absolutely crazy. You can ask any of the forum or Reddit mods. Actually, are there any forum or Reddit mods here? No, they didn't make the text. They're too busy managing the forums, devoted, not leaving. So those guys will tell you, yeah, the sounds were totally screwed up, so we ditched them for that. Do I miss anything on skeletons?
No.
Yeah. There's just a couple minutes. I just want to spend like 5 minutes now talking about our roadmap, because I guess this is probably the thing that most people want to hear. So the alpha isn't out yet, and you know, obviously that's a bit of a disappointment for everyone, but we have to get that server client architecture done. Vehicles won't be in the initial release. The reason for that is we want to do the vehicles properly. So the mod goes back to, the standalone goes back to basics, and roughly August, September, maybe we're going to look at doing the vehicles, because we want to have it so that they don't feel like you're pushing big blocks of stone around. And we want them so that you can actually customize them, like the player. Now you can customize the player. You can put on a hoodie, you can put on a shirt, run around in your underwear, which 90% of people will do for the first year. But we'll add some kind of cold virus, so you'll all get cholera. No nakedness on our service. And well, it will be for a start, maybe it will be cold. So. And base building, and we did a total like geek out session with the streamers last night talking about the potential for this. And we are big fans of EVE Online, really big fans. We caught up with CCP, I caught up with them at E3 and at Gamescom, and we hung out with them a lot, and they were really awesome, gave us a lot of support, a lot of advice. So we kind of think this base building is going to be like capital ships are the EVE. You know, base building will be our version of capital ships. We've talked about a lot of ideas. We don't think that base building above ground is going to work because there's not enough space. So we're looking at going underground with it and having it kind of like Skyrim where it's a separate instance. And we've been toying with the idea and you know, looking and prototyping that of doing it like Red Faction style, you know, digging it out and that kind of stuff, and looking at how to do that. So we've got a lot of ideas with it, but that kind of stuff we're talking end of the year. So we need to get the alpha out, and then we're committed to at least 12 months of development and beyond that, doing content brick updates every week. Now the last point. Our streamers asked us to cover off on this, we talked about it last night. We're big fans of the tournament style, gameplay, streaming, content creation and stuff like that. So we're going to devote some, quite a bit of code time to seeing if we can develop like a better camera mode to support that. You'll see there's no mention of what your username is and stuff like that. So we really think that it's a big part of why DayZ was successful is because of the content creators, because of the streamers, and you know, because of people documenting their stories. So we're really looking for a way to support that. You know, events like the Survivor games, We were over at my apartment watching it. I think we were actually playing Space Station 13 at the same time.
With it on the big screen?
Yeah, we had the Survivor games up on my big screen TV. It was like kind of the Super Bowl for us. It was really awesome. So the fact that they're able to do that with the mod, which is completely broken, and the only reason it's not still broken is because the communities continue developing it. And yeah, so we really want to enhance that. So I think we've rambled on enough.